The eerie silence of the alien city stretched endlessly before Luna. Towering structures cast long shadows, their sharp, angular designs reminiscent of ancient mathematical symbols. Every street, every wall, and every pillar seemed to hum with a hidden energy, as if the entire city was a living equation. She paused to take in the bizarre, yet strangely beautiful environment, her eyes scanning the skyline. Something about the place felt unsettling, almost like a riddle waiting to be solved. As she moved deeper into the city, Luna's intuition kicked in. This wasn't just a ruined city, it was a puzzle, a complex system built on numbers, specifically primes. Prime numbers. The thought settled in her mind as she traced her hand along a nearby wall. Patterns, faint at first, began to emerge in the architecture, sequences of numbers woven into the very fabric of the city's design. It was as if the buildings themselves whispered equations, daring her to decode them. Suddenly, the wall beneath her hand lit up. Numbers raced across its surface, illuminating in prime intervals: 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Luna's heart raced. Prime numbers were fundamental in mathematics, not divisible by anything but themselves in one. They were simple, yet held the key to some of the most complex puzzles in mathematics, perhaps even the fabric of reality itself. She'd read papers on the Riemann hypothesis, the unsolved mathematical enigma surrounding prime number distribution, but never imagined it could take form like this. Luna stepped back as the light faded, leaving only a prime-based countdown etched into the wall. Time, it seemed, was running out. The sequence was relentless, ticking down in primes. Whatever this city was, it was collapsing, and fast. "There's no turning back," she muttered. The city wasn't just a place, it was a living equation designed by an intelligence that grasped the true nature of primes, perhaps even solving the Riemann hypothesis itself. The idea sent a shiver down her spine. She had to explore further. As Luna wandered through the maze of streets, she began to notice subtle shifts in geometry. The buildings twisted and warped in impossible ways, bending space-time itself. The structures adhered to non-Euclidean geometry, creating a space where parallel lines met and distances distorted depending on the angle from which you viewed them. She passed through archways that led her back to where she started, a disorienting loop that mirrored the fractal nature of prime numbers, a reflection of the infinite complexity hidden within their distribution. Deeper within the city, Luna found a central plaza. In its center stood a monumental grid, a structure formed entirely from interconnected prime numbers. Each node in the grid pulsed with an eerie, soft glow, revealing a pattern far too complex to decipher at a glance. It was here that the real challenge began. The grid seemed to shift, reorganizing itself based on prime intervals. Luna knelt before it, recognizing the pattern. "This is a zeta function." Luna's voice was barely a whisper. The grid wasn't random, it was the Riemann zeta function in physical form, shifting along the critical line that governed prime distributions. She traced the sequence with her fingers, feeling the pulse of each prime number as if it were alive, an intricate puzzle locking away the secrets of the city. Suddenly, the grid pulsed violently, and the prime countdown accelerated. The city was alive, reacting to her presence. Each riddle she solved seemed to trigger a new layer of complexity. Luna quickly realized that solving the zeta grid was the only way forward. The Riemann zeta function, vital to understanding prime distributions, was now her guide in this strange environment. She could feel the weight of history behind the function, the thousands of mathematicians who had tried to solve it. And now she was walking through its physical manifestation. The countdown grew faster, aligning with larger prime intervals: 23, 29, 31. Each number seemed to reverberate through the air, and the city responded. Sections of buildings began to crumble, fallen into voids that blinked in and out of existence. Luna's mind raced. The city's collapse wasn't random. It followed prime number sequences, each collapse aligned with the next prime in the countdown. "It's like the primes are controlling reality here," Luna said, her voice trembling. Every time I move deeper, the primes pull the city apart. She sprinted through the crumbling streets, dodging debris as the prime countdown echoed in her ears. The next number was coming, 37. What happens when it reaches 41? She didn't want to find out. Each prime number seemed to shift the city's structure, altering the flow of time and space. The numbers were bending reality itself, pulling at the very fabric of the universe. In modern cryptography, prime numbers are used to secure digital information, as they are nearly impossible to factorize. The alien civilization seems to have taken this concept further, using primes to manipulate the quantum structure of their reality. She noticed the buildings nearest her beginning to shimmer in and out of existence, flickering like glitches in a program. Each prime number wasn't just marking the collapse of the city, it was a quantum event. Reality itself was coming undone at prime intervals, with time warping faster as each number passed. Luna's heartbeat synced with the pattern, pushing her onward with a growing sense of urgency. She had no choice but to solve this or be erased with the city. As Luna reached the heart of the city, she encountered a strange figure. At first, she thought it was another hologram, but it wasn't. The figure had substance, an ethereal presence, but undeniably real. It introduced itself as the Prime Architect, a remnant of the civilization that built this place. "You've seen the prime numbers," it said, its voice cold yet curious. "You felt their power." Luna stared at the figure. "What is this place?" "The final experiment," the architect replied. "A test to prove whether prime numbers are the key to controlling the universe. Our people believed that solving the Riemann hypothesis would grant us control over reality. We succeeded, but the solution came at a cost." Luna's breath caught. "You solved it?" The architect nodded. "But in doing so, we destabilized everything. Prime numbers are not just mathematical. They are the building blocks of reality. We use them to construct this city, to manipulate space-time itself. But we didn't account for the phantom prime." The architect's voice grew softer. "This number, this phantom prime, is neither human nor alien. It is a cosmic constant, the one that evaded our grasp. As we approached its discovery, the city began to unravel, just as reality does when you push too close to a universal truth. It's the price we paid for knowing what should remain unsolved. The phantom prime is a theoretical number beyond the known prime numbers, existing between prime gaps, but unaccounted for in human mathematics. It destabilizes any system built entirely on prime principles, causing the city's collapse." Luna knew that the idea of uncharted primes existed in ongoing research into the gaps between primes and their unpredictable distribution. In theory, such a phantom number could exist beyond known primes, altering the mathematical landscape. The architect explained that their civilization's solution to the Riemann hypothesis had uncovered the existence of a phantom prime, a prime that shouldn't exist but does, hidden in the gaps between known primes. This phantom prime had destabilized their experiment, causing the collapse of the city and its reality. "This city is a gateway," the architect said, "and the phantom prime is the key. But stabilizing it will require you to confront the unknown, an uncharted prime that even we cannot control." Luna stood before the prime grid, her mind swirling with possibilities. The phantom prime was beyond her comprehension, yet she knew she had to stabilize it. It was the only way to save herself and potentially unlock a greater truth about the universe. The grid pulsed again, this time more violently, as the ground beneath her feet started to fragment like a shattered mirror. Stabilizing the phantom prime would require more than knowledge. It would demand a leap of faith into the uncharted mathematical void. Luna understood then that the phantom prime was not just a number. It was a bridge between realities, a key to unraveling everything or locking it away forever. Luna's hands worked quickly over the grid as the countdown hit 41. The city trembled, but this time she felt calm. The answer wasn't brute force or some grand escape. It was right in front of her, hidden in the simplest of patterns. "Of course," she whispered. It's not about the phantom prime, it's about symmetry. With a final adjustment, Luna completed the sequence. The grid pulsed, but instead of collapsing, it shifted smoothly, its lights glowing in perfect harmony. The countdown froze and the city stilled. The prime architect, watching closely, tilted its head. "You've solved it," it said, a note of surprise in its voice. Luna smiled to herself. It had been a riddle after all, one hidden not in the complexity of numbers, but in their balance. The city, built on prime numbers, had a missing piece, a simple symmetry that held the key to stabilizing everything. Just as she thought it was over, a low hum filled the air. The grid began to change, reconfiguring itself. Instead of collapsing or opening a gateway, it revealed something entirely unexpected, an intricate passageway beneath the ground. It wasn't an escape, but an entry into something deeper, something she hadn't seen before. The architect stepped aside, allowing her passage. "We didn't expect this," it said. "Beyond this point, even we don't know what lies ahead." Luna raised an eyebrow. "A hidden path," she said with a grin. "Figures." Without hesitation, she descended into the passage, the lights of the city fading behind her. Luna's heart quickened as she realized the city had been hiding a deeper mystery all along.